Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and Gearbox announced a brand new game, and it's not the one you probably want. Nope, it's not Borderlands 3, although we know it's in development. We have yet to receive that juicy official announcement, but don't you worry, we got Project 1v1. So I'm here to tell you guys all about Project 1v1, Gearbox's latest announcement, and then we'll get into how this could impact Borderlands 3. So Project 1v1 is the code name for Gearbox's top secret in development competitive first-person shooter that combines the action of a fast-paced 1v1 first-person combat with the metagame strategy of a collectible card game. Project 1v1 will be holding a short, closed technical test this summer. We are looking for a limited number of players to test the online infrastructure and learn what players like you think about the game in order to inform and influence future development. The test will be held on North American servers, so international players may experience decreased performance. The closed technical test will feature 3 modes: ranked, which get matched with an opponent based on a player's rating, win ranked matches to earn experience, and crates containing new cards, more on that in a second, a challenge mode where you challenge a friend to an unranked match, and then arena, queue up to challenge the current arena champion and win to take their place. Now, upon reading the information for the announcement of this game, I thought of 2 projects right away. The first one was Phantom Dust. Now, I know Phantom Dust is third person, really a different game, but it's a game based around 1v1 combat, and it's a lot of fun. So I thought to myself, okay, Project 1v1 certainly has that potential. It's certainly in a niche that isn't explored all that much because we're always making those big team games, but this one's all about the 1v1, so there is some room to really be creative here. Furthermore, we hear that there's a collectible card game tied in, more than likely to fuel a microtransaction system, but I also thought of instantly Halo Wars 2's Blitz mode and how they tied in a card game to this really fast-paced combat system in an otherwise slower strategy game. And I had a blast with that mode, but once again, that was to fuel microtransactions as well. So that's what we really have to be wary of here, is that it's very obvious what Project 1v1 is going for. I'm sure that there is potential in this project, but collectible cards in video games have gone from something that was cool, potentially creative, almost filling that void from a lot of us as kids always doing those pack openings, to now a gimmick in a game that is designed really to just put microtransactions in the product and have it make sense. And I know I am assuming, and I really shouldn't because we know what happens when you assume, but I do have to say that I'd be shocked out of my mind if there wasn't a microtransaction system in a game that's based off collectible cards, and especially when it's a 1v1 game and you could buy those cards and get an edge on your opponent. Hopefully I'm wrong though. But when you see in the ranked match description that you earn experience and then new crates containing new cards, there's already going to be crates unlocking those cards when you level up, so I'm assuming that come the release of this game, we're going to see some type of store involved. So we've seen what happens and what the results are when Gearbox has experimented. We've had pretty good games such as Battleborn, but they end up flopping. Or Brothers in Arms. I haven't personally played that game, but based off what I've seen people saying in comments and forums and whatnot, that they actually really enjoy that series. So Gearbox has successfully experimented in the past, but the biggest issue is when you look at some of their failed experiments, which you could argue was Battleborn. No one really hopped into that game. Aliens, Colonial Marines. The Duke Nukem series has pretty much fallen off, and furthermore, it is time for a brand new Borderlands game, and so seeing another game announcement that will likely impact the development of Borderlands 3 is kind of sucky to see. Now, based off development cycles for Gearbox software when it comes to Borderlands, we can expect this game coming in fall of next year. If that's the case, then yes, starting a brand new project now isn't that too foreign for game development companies, and especially when it's a very soft launch like this. I don't think they're planning on marketing it. I think they want to test it, get some players in there, feel out some ideas, see how it's going, and then carry into development further. But what happens with these soft launches is you kind of bother gamers in a way, because we all know that everyone wants Borderlands 3. Now, I'm not saying that Project 1v1 can't be something cool, but Gearbox isn't stupid. The people who analyze the data aren't stupid. They know exactly what fans want. So I'm assuming that's why they kind of kept it low key. But if that's the case, then it's just going to lead to a future conflict when Borderlands 3 is officially announced, and no one's going to really care about Project 1v1, especially if after Borderlands we see DLC. Still, I think that's going to be the case. I'm all for developers experimenting. I want Gearbox to give it a whirl. I just don't know if now is the proper time for it. Like I said, it's not foreign for game developers to do this, but I just don't know if it's the right time personally. Will this impact Borderlands 3 at all? I'd have to say it does to some extent, but if Borderlands 3 really is coming out at the end of next year, that final year of development, you don't really want to take anyone off that project. So there's likely just one small separate team devoted to Project 1v1, and the rest of Gearbox is focused in on Borderlands 3. So I don't think there's any real reason for concern here. We definitely know that Gearbox has to be focusing a majority of their staff on their biggest and most important project. And once again, this is pretty common in game development. Think of any big game that's launched, there's always that separate team on the side who's working on what's coming up next, because you don't just want to start off with a clean slate right afterwards. You want some of the framework laid out for that next project so you can just hop in, continue building, and get that next game out as soon as possible. Now, admittedly, I am trying to be optimistic here, but this game also doesn't seem big enough to really have that big impact on the development of Borderlands 3, considering Gearbox is a pretty sizable developer. So I'm not really too concerned. I can understand some gamers' frustrations, but don't worry people, I think Borderlands 3 is just fine, and Gearbox knows how important this game is. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Project 1v1, how it will impact Borderlands 3, and so on in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.